Now, meanwhile, in Gauteng, the provincial government has decided to ban the sale of Turbofos, the pesticide which was found to have caused the recent deaths of 6 Soweto children. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says only licensed businesses will be able to sell the pesticide, also known as Halipereme. Lesufi was speaking yesterday following a meeting with MECs, mayors and MMCs on implementing bylaws and regulations for Spaza Shop operations in the province. The meeting comes amid the spike in foodborne illnesses which have since claimed the lives of 23 children in the province, with 441 cases reported. For more on this, we speak to SA, or rather South African Informal Traders Alliance President Rosheda Muller. Good evening, Rosheda. Thank you very much for joining us on The Full View. Firstly, your reaction to Action SA's Herman Mashaba calling for the army to be brought in to shut down foreign-owned Spaza shops.
Good evening, and good evening to all the viewers. My reaction firstly will be a little too late. Whilst this was happening within our democracy, there was no implementation of the health regulations on the Spaza shops that were rising everywhere in the country. So now, based on our tragic deaths of these young people, about, I think, 23 now, and many also affected, we are now jumping and calling in armies and that. Now, we can't go back, but we're going forward now. And I think we need to have dialogue with stakeholders. The stakeholders is not only government. The informal sector, national organizations like ours, NITASA, is there to partner and dialogue to find solutions. We're holding our hand out to government to say, let's talk about what's currently happening and let's resolve. Government cannot resolve this matter alone.
So are you saying, pardon me for interjecting, are you saying that there was no consultation or at any point were you invited to at least present some sort of ideas or interventions?
No, not right up until now, no. It's only the national TVs and the radios that's interviewing us. And we are saying that we believe that there should be organized movements on the ground. It's like a union, that we can take ownership of the members that is inside our organizations, and we will ensure that they are compliant, that their health certificates are there, but also government is supposed to send out, the Department of Health, supposed to send out these health inspectors. I think they work hand in hand with municipalities, but that's another challenge because municipalities across the country don't always acknowledge the informal trading organizations. Therefore, our voice is so strong now. And we need to ensure then that the informal sector is home to more than 6 million entrepreneurs. We need to be taken much more seriously, and we are forming these organizations so that we can engage like big business does, like BUSA does, and others.
But insofar as the health inspectors are concerned, we understand that there are far too little of those. There's very few, and this speaks to capacity issues. So what can be done in that respect?
That's why I said, if there is an organized organization, for example, I am the chairman of the Grand Parade in Cape Town, and we have about 300 traders. So there is an executive committee that manages that market at the moment. So if we can have a partnership with government and the health and the municipalities to say, listen, provide us the resources to be able to manage on your behalf, because you do not have the capacity.
Which some would say is great, but others would feel that if you're having an industry regulating itself, you would still nevertheless need government to also come in and regulate. That yes, you would be but one aspect of regulations, but they need to also come in and regulate themselves, just to avoid any sort of corruption at any point.
Absolutely. There should be oversight by government, local government in particular. There should be partnership and regular meetings, reports given in and out, and then maybe it's the spot checks by health inspectors who might come maybe twice a year. But we are there to ensure that the food traders have their health certificates, have their food certificates and their compliance, what do you call it, the compliance, the COA,
Certificate,
something
yes,
like
of competence.
Yes.
And
so
then, Rosheda,
certificate of acceptance,
Then, Rosheda, and as much as you say that to a certain extent it is a little too late for those who have lost their lives, the 23 young people, but most certainly they must move forward as government to ensure that there are no more lives that are lost. Government is pushing for the re-registration of Spaza Shops to ensure compliance in that effort to deal with the surge in food poisoning cases. Are you for that re-registration process?
Well, I definitely agree that all of us should be on a register, a database of informal business. You know, I always say that we might be micro in our individual capacities, but as a union, as a national movement, we are macro. We have hundreds of thousands of traders on our databases. So yes, I agree, because I don't believe that there have been regulations and they have not had their certificates if this has happened in our townships now, especially in Soweto, in Naledi and other areas. So yes, regulation is important, and actually there should be an annual update. So there's an annual checkup on your license to sell food, and you need to comply with good, healthy foods as well, because we are seeing that the foods that's being sold, it's just too much dye, and I don't know what you call it anymore, but it's not very healthy for our children. And we do need to advocate that more healthy foods are sold, especially outside the school grounds.
Then to the Cocktail Minister's gazetting of the standard draft bylaws. Are you for these? Because when just reading through them, it's not only about, or it's not necessarily only a regulatory tool, but it also seeks to revive the township economy when just reading through it.
Yes, I just received it today as well, and I'm still busy studying it. But I think the draft is it's a good thing. But we are still saying the regulations have always been there since the 70s, you know, the 2008 new regulations and that. The regulations are there. But I think because of the crisis that we are now, you know, waking up and realizing something more drastic has to be done. And if every informal trader needs to re-register, then let's do that for the safety of our communities.
All right. I suppose, among others, as you state, that it is the enforcement that remains another big issue. Rosheda, thank you very much for joining us this evening. That's South African Informal Traders Alliance President Rosheda Muller.